If you have ever been considered alive at some point in your life, there is a good chance you may have found yourself in the presence of a Lego block. I'm pretty sure that there's some sort of Denmark decree of law that you have to play with Legos if you want to claim you had a childhood, because you cannot escape the Lego phenomenon.
Hey!
Hello.
They got the toys, the merchandise, shows, movies, and it is no more evident now as LEGO has become this dominating force in the gaming industry, thanks to the large following for games like
Lego Star Wars.
LEGO Star Wars 2,
Lego Star Wars, the complete saga.
LEGO Star Wars 3, Clone
Lego
Wars,
3, Star Wars Micro
LEGO Star Wars,
Lego
Star
Star
Wars,
Wars,
the
Star Wars sagas.
Also the other ones.
But some of you rapscallions may not know that there were LEGO games in the olden times as well. That's right, all the way back in, let me check, 1995. That's my year. They were the pioneers of the early days of gaming, and like actual pioneers, they pretty much killed themselves for meager rewards. Seriously, these games, they almost bankrupted the entire LEGO company.
What is wrong with me?
These early games like LEGO Island, LEGO Racers, and LEGO Creator are usually the ones people remember fondly, but there is one game in particular, one way or another, dominated my childhood. LEGO Rock Raiders. I know. Did you see it coming?
Hey kids, do you like geology? You know, dirt science. Well, boy howdy, do I have the game for you. Here's some futuristic industrial mining set. Go wild.
Okay, I want it!
I may be like one of the 10 people who remembers the Rock Raider line of Legos, probably because it only lasted 1 year.
You suck!
But I'll let you in on a little secret, a dirty secret, if you don't mind. You know, because it's about mining. I actually own every single set from that series. I was such a fanatic as a kid, and I couldn't tell you why. Something in my simple goat brain was just attracted to like neon green for some reason. I don't know. But this is one of the first games I played obsessively. Everyone talks about their Ocarina of Time or their Final Fantasy or their Shaq Fu being their holy grail of video games. But no. It's gotta be the classic. Wait, get that out of here. Now you must understand, the only reason I even bothered revisiting this game 20 years later is because this game has mocked me for decades. You see, my dumb kid brain was no good at this game. I spent unholy amounts of time playing it, and I never beat it, mostly because I never once changed my strategy. I would just teleport the max number of miners into the map, run out of oxygen, you know, because there's too many miners, and be surprised I'd failed the mission because everyone suffocated and died. And then I do the same exact thing again and again. Then do that for about 6 hours. No joke, I easily spent hundreds of hours on this game and I only ever beat half of it. But hey, those were the times, baby. And despite that, I personally think there's something so endearing about this game. I honestly won't be convinced it's bad because frankly, I've just been so emotionally manipulated by this series, I'm too far gone. So I need to take you down with me. I also need you to know that this game was made in an era where ports of games would be wildly different from one another. Some would just be downgrades, but still relatively similar. But in this case, the PC version and the PS1 version are not even the same game. The PC version came out 9 months earlier, so I can only assume it was the original vision. I don't really know what the PS1 game is, to be honest. Now, to set up this game, you have to understand its deep and expanding lore. There are miners, and they are in space. Did I go too fast? And while space mining, your spaceship gets hit by a space boulder and sucked into a space wormhole, transported to another galaxy. Space. And whatever, no more power, sure, why not? But wouldn't you know, there's a bunch of neon green crystals that your ship seems specifically designed to refine into energy. Kind of convenient, one might say. And there you go. Congratulations. You are now just as up to date on LEGO Rock Raider lore as the other 10 people. What, you expected this elaborate advertisement to have sustenance? This isn't Bionicle, okay? Now, you may be wondering, sad, small, pathetic internet man, what kind of game is Rock Raider? And the only thing I can really describe it as is baby's first RTS. And the game really wants to hammer that baby part home, so here, take a 30-minute tutorial you can't fast forward through. Oops. But once you come out of the tutorial timeout, you pretty much know almost everything you'll ever need to know for the rest of the game forever. Almost. You get miners, make them mine, maintain oxygen, pick up some Cocoa Puffs, build some buildings so you can collect Cocoa Puffs faster before they get a little mushy, you know. No one really likes the last mushy Cocoa Puff. And do that, I don't know, 25 times. Yeah, sure. That seems like enough, I guess. And for a resource management game, they kind of skimped on the whole resource part. There's your ore, your air, and most importantly, the neon green energy crystals.
Activate my primordial culprit.
About 95% of the missions are just Wilford Brimley telling you to collect a certain amount of crystals to beat the level. And listen, I know this is a kid's game. A 1990s kid's game, no less, but there's such a forgiving number of crystals in each map that I was trying my hardest to not beat most missions in 5 minutes. And before you think I'm calling this game easy, just remember, I played this game for years and never beat it. I had to constantly set crystals to be the lowest priority just so I could stop collecting them faster than I could spend them. And those priority settings might as well not even existed because the AI certainly pretend it doesn't. Heck, even the AI seems to actively hate doing what you tell them to do. There's some sort of hidden exhaustion mechanic for each rock raider, but there's no indication of when they will tire out. Hey guys, turns out I'm a bit of an idiot. It turns out you can just hit the spacebar and see the little sandwich buttons, and I guess that's the third resource in this game is sandwiches, so. And you cannot stop them when they whip out that PBJ. And they will frequently do this during construction or even life-threatening situations. The only way to force them to move is to essentially inhabit their body like the puppet master you are and take control in this bizarre first, third-person view. And even though the controls are kinda stinky, and it's a mostly pointless feature, it's actually pretty decent for the era. So in order to make this game a little more challenging for myself, I was initially going to try to get a 100% score on each level. I'm a fully grown adult human man now, it should be easy. But the thing is, and maybe I'm just that dumb, I don't know what the basis of the score is in this game. It will rank you on how much ore and crystal you collected, the size of your base, how many walls you destroyed, and your time. And I can tell you, here and now, none of that makes a goddamn difference. I don't even know why it bothers telling you the ore amount or the percentage of walls you've murdered. I started to think it was mostly just time related, but no. I would spend 45 minutes on a mission I could have finished in 2, but it would give me 100% then. It doesn't even give you like a par score to aim for, but the one thing it does give you is some slapping music. And now may be as good a time as any to talk about the other thing you'll be hearing with your ears, the voice acting. And despite this game having some rather robust little animations to accompany the game, you may notice that the LEGO people don't actually utter a single word. This was almost certainly to save costs from lip syncing and additional voiceovers, but you'll be happy to know that they make up for the lack of dialogue in the game because they just straight up won't stop talking. Firstly, if you hover over anything, and I mean anything, for 2 seconds, someone will kindly tell you what it is, and then they will repeat that same voice line for the entire game.
That loose rock, solid rock.
Oh, to this day, me and my brother can still quote this game just because it drills the same 20 words into your brain from start to finish, which sort of has this nostalgic charm to it, but it begins to wear very thin since they warn you about certain events happening on the map. Things like a unit getting too many boo-boos or finding neon green energy crystals, which you would think would be useful, but by far the worst culprit is when Master Chief utters his signature phrase.
A landslide has occurred.
And a rock slide occurs just about every 15 seconds in this game, and you can't turn it off because dialogue is attached to the sound effects settings. So, unless you want to play the game in pure silence, you have to endure. Listen, I'm trying to fix the walls, just give me some time, please. And I guess like the 5 voice actors really wanted to show off their southern drawl because, you know, they're miners? Why are they talking like 19th century oil barons? But I gotta level with you. It will make you memorize buildings and vehicle names real fast. So I guess it's kind of a great marketing strategy, you know, the real reason this game exists. Let's be real. Vehicle sets are the bulk of what LEGO is actually trying to sell. And there are a ton of vehicles in this game. In fact, there are more vehicles in this game than there were actual sets released. Makes you wonder why they didn't release them all, but I'm still waiting on my Tunnel Scout release any day now. Come on. And despite this bloated roster of vehicles, you only ever need a few. And that list goes as follows. The small transport truck. All the other vehicles range from superfluous to absolutely useless. I would not be lying when I say I only ever utilized like 4 on purpose. And that was mostly so I could just stop myself from beating the level in 5 minutes by wasting crystals. And you know the game is a big advert when half the assets aren't even useful for the primary gameplay and are just there to look cool. So let me explain to you why you don't even need any of these vehicles, ever, in any scenario. First off, let's talk about the flying vehicles. You might be thinking, how does flying work in a game about underground cavern mining? And the game agrees with that question because it can't even bother finding a use for them. You can play the whole game, and I think you only ever needed it once. Even the tutorial doesn't know why they exist. Cool. Thanks for letting me fly to a position I could walk to. And there's really no reason to get to places faster because you can't use the vehicles to carry any resource or really do much of anything. But probably explains why there's only 2 flying vehicles. Even though there is one mission where you have to find the massive tunnel transport, which I know, an even bigger helicopter inside a cavern. As a wee bab, I was hoping it meant it was like a new vehicle I could actually use. I mean, it's even one of the few actual LEGO sets they released, and it's clearly some sort of large carrier, and I mean the model's in game, so... Oh, mission's over. Okay. Do I ever get to use the big helicopter? No? And what about the ground vehicles? The small transport truck is the only vehicle that actually has a consistent and good use. It helps you collect resources much faster, which is the main point of the game, and bypasses the fatigue that the miners get. And this can kind of be extended to the small digger, although despite having the exact same dumper on the back, it can't carry anything. It's literally right... Hold on, just give me a second.
See that? See that right there? It's in the back. It's in the back.
So, what can the other vehicles do? Some of them have laser beams on them, you know, the coolest future thing ever. That's all you had to do to make kids interested. And I'm happy to say that the lasers are such a jank mechanic that I had to go out of my way to find a use for them. There are 3 vehicles and even a building that utilize the mining laser, which were like the coolest parts of the LEGO sets, by the way. And in this game, they don't do a gosh darn thing. You can use them to mine walls, but why would you? Takes you like 5 long shots for the laser, but dynamite and larger drills are almost instantaneous. You get access to them way earlier, and with the added bonus of not having an energy cost. The Chrome Crusher literally has the best drill in the game, and also a laser? Why do I even need this? I can literally break anything in a second. And you think from all the clear drawbacks, the benefit would be that it extracts more resources, since in theory, it's a more precise tool. But that would be an actual game mechanic, and we know this game isn't actually a game. There is not a single moment in this entire game that required a laser. The only use I found worthwhile was to shoot the rock goobers because I wanted to see if it worked. So we might as well talk about... Yes, believe it or not, this game also has some combat mechanics, and I use that term very loosely. Because just like the mining lasers, even the handheld lasers are terrible in this game. It may be a bug, but sometimes, for no reason at all, they will delete all of your energy crystals from the game. Remember when I said that there was a finite number of crystals on the map? And there's still more, because there's also electrical fences that you can build for free that are always an insta-kill, where the blasters are kind of a mixed bag and never really work the way you want them to. But perhaps the most egregious game mechanic of all are the sonic charges. And I swear, I don't know what they do. They are supposed to scare the slimy slugs, but I promise you, they never worked even once in the entire game. They barely work in the tutorial, and in fact, I'm pretty sure that's a scripted event, so I don't even think that counts. So, what you actually have to do is just shoot them until they give up, meaning the one actual use for lasers in this game is for something they're technically not supposed to be used for. But to be fair, the lasers are neon green, so they do get a pass. 100% necessary to the game. Can we expect a large mobile laser cutter set this quarter?
Screw this!
Coming back to this game was mostly a nostalgia hit for me, but as I said, I never beat the game. There was a point where I finally came to the level that had stumped me for years. I was so giddy to finally beat that mission. Actual decades of anticipation and decades of gathering game knowledge, and it took me 2 minutes. Oh god, not this again. That's right. It's our old friend oxygen depletion and needing to know that you can stack your air production, which is something so obvious to me now, but as a mouth-breathing simpleton, it just never occurred to me. And to be fair, the support station is the only building that you have to build a duplicate of. All the other buildings are one and done, and as we know, in most cases, never at all. The later levels will deplete your air way faster, so building more than one support station is pretty much necessary. And I'd like to remind you, this is a game that has 30 minutes of tutorials, and it never once brings this up, so one might wonder why it has a tutorial at all. I've said it 100 times, but this is a kid's game from the 1990s. General game knowledge isn't what it is today. And looking up a guide wasn't exactly a speedy endeavor, nor something you would even think to do. So when you got stuck, you either admit you suck or just keep playing the game anyway because you were really only there for the neon green. Hey. So what was my reward for finally overcoming this true challenge? Well, there's one cute level that has you using all the vehicles to get one miner to safety. It's perhaps one of the few levels that actually utilizes all the worthless assets. It's kind of cute. I actually really like this level. But as you could guess, it's just more collecting neon green and Cocoa Puffs. I don't know what I expected. What could it really, oh, what is this now? The last level is, oddly enough, when the game finally felt like it hit the right amount of base building and exploration. Comparatively, it's a larger map with all the hazards at once. You got your monsters, your slugs, and of course,
A landslide.
and it was the first time I really felt that RTS vibe that the game was looking for. For once, I actually had multiple vehicles running clockwork, all the while upgrading them to be more efficient. It was satisfying to have these big Tonka trucks doing the thing they were supposed to do, and not so I could pad out the game time. Vehicles became useful, expanding your base was necessary, installing defense was critical, and managing them all in tandem was satisfying. I almost feel like this is the actual game the developers wanted to make, but may have been limited, whether it be from a budget constraint, technology of the time, or the fact that this is still really just an elaborate advertisement. And I'll be honest, it has the bone structure for what could be a really fun game even in today's market. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's called Minecraft. And just like that, it was finally done. I had finally conquered my Everest. And once you beat the game, you think there would be some sort of big payoff, right? I mean, the game starts with an action-packed cutscene, but no. The last cutscene of the game, they put that good neon green into the engine and, oh. Wait, is that it? There's like a whole cast and they don't even show them. They leave them down there? Wait, are they actually flying back between galaxies? You know it's gonna take you like a couple million years, even at light speed, right? Well, they're made out of plastic. Does that mean that would work? Now, I know I've been digging on this game, but I need you to understand something that I'm not sure is properly coming through my insistent need to be sarcastic. I genuinely love this game more than most AAA games that have come out in years. Is it a good game? No. Am I wildly disillusioned by nostalgia? Yeah. Is there a point to this video? Maybe not. Every game is someone's favorite or has affected them in a weird way. Really, this game and my obsession with neon green energy crystals affected me so much that for a time I actually considered becoming a geologist at one point. And that isn't even a joke, but I wanted to make my parents proud and decided to become a cartoonist instead. And sometimes I just like talking about a game no one else remembers. I knew going into this it absolutely wasn't going to hold up. And it absolutely did. But if you want to try the game out, but don't have the nostalgia to blind you perpetually, some crazy freaky mamas decided to remake the entire game under the guise Manic Miners. I imagine the name change is because the Denmark Decree of Law takes no prisoners. Man, I don't know. It's all made in the Unreal Engine and they address every issue I had. You can turn off the annoying voice lines, all the vehicles have unique uses, the lasers actually work, and they even added the tunnel transport and it feels awesome and satisfying to use. So I highly suggest, even if you haven't played the game as a kid, to check it out.
It's a fun game to just turn your brain off and absorb Lego.
And if that conclusion doesn't satisfy you, you can walk away knowing that if it weren't for Rock Raiders helping tank the Lego company and forcing them to liquefy their internal game division and let outside studios make the future games, we wouldn't have the Lego games we have today. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is that this game is actually the bedrock of the gaming industry. It really rocked the Lego Corporation. It wasn't totally their fault. You should take this.
Give me that
Give me that neon green! Give me that neon green! Give me!